Welcome to the Sunday Reach by Indian Dominicans. Today we reflect on prophetic ministry, rejection, and the transformative power of divine grace. Through today's readings, we are called to understand the challenges believers face and the grace that sustains each one of us. In our first reading, we see Ezekiel's called to be a prophet. God sends him to the people of Israel who are described as stubborn and obstinate. They are in exile, facing the consequences of their disobedience. Sometimes we forget that the miseries we are subjected to could be due to our own arrogance and pride. Yet in His mercy, God sends Ezekiel to speak truth and hope for their future. God never abandons His people forever. He finds plans A or B or C to reach out to them. A prophet is not just someone who foretells future events, but sees events from God's perspective and communicates that vision to the people. This often involves telling hard truths, which can be met with resistance and rejection. Ezekiel's experience parallels that of Jesus, who faced rejection in his own hometown, Nazareth. The people did not want to hear the truth, especially when it demanded change, self-examination, and transformation. In our second reading, St. Paul tells the Corinthians about his struggles, particularly the thorn in the flesh. While its exact nature is unknown, it represents a real struggle or trial. St. Paul makes it clear that his sufferings for the sake of the gospel are not born out of his own strength. Instead, he relies on God's strength and grace to endure. St. Paul teaches us that our human frailty can be a channel for divine strength. When we offer our struggles to God and acknowledge His strength and grace in our lives, our trials become places where God's power can be manifested. A prophet is never accepted in his own town. He is from God and for people. We might think that to serve God, we need to be perfect. No one is perfect, but God is. It is enough for us to be with God or He is with us. We do not have to be perfect to serve God. We only need to allow His grace to work through our imperfections. In today's gospel, we see Jesus returning to Nazareth, where He faces skepticism and disbelief from those who knew Him growing up. They acknowledge His wisdom and the miracles He performed, but cannot accept Him as the Messiah. They were jealous of Him and could never digest the truth that one of their own could be the Messiah. Their lack of faith prevents them from fully experiencing the transformative power of His presence. It is true that people who saw us growing up from our childhood, school and college days and other parts of our life may not be able to accept us, since they may not know the change and transformation we have gone through because of Christ. Every believer and minister of Jesus can face this reality. Yet we are called to continue the mission that is entrusted to us by God's grace. Further, we need to know why people believe in Jesus. If people look for Jesus for miracles or signs, they do not know who Christ is. They can approach Jesus with use and throw attitude. Real faith in Jesus calls for genuine love, the love with which Jesus came to save us. Even while we are sinners, Christ died for us. Faith is not just about acknowledging God's existence or admiring Jesus' teachings and works. It requires total trust in God and the willingness to see His hand at work in our lives. The people of Nazareth failed to recognize Jesus as the revelation of God among them, missing the opportunity for deeper transformation and communion. Unbelief is a terrible sickness. If spread, it can cause a spiritual pandemic as it has done in certain parts of our world from 18th century onwards. In the name of secularization, people forget the one who can change the course of their lives. As we conclude, let us recap what we have seen so far. As followers of Christ, we are called to be prophetic in our own lives. This means speaking the truth with love, even when difficult, and living our faith authentically. We may face rejection and challenges, but we can find strength in God's grace, just as St. Paul did. We need to remember that Jesus is with us. His grace is with us. His strength is with us. Let us strive to see God's presence in our everyday lives and trust His power to work through us despite our weaknesses.